things like that. But college really teaches you why you do the things you do at work. And really, when you get to the job, that's when you learn how to do your job.
Hi innovators, welcome back to NetworkHer's Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Rachel and a little bit about NetworkHer is that we're an organization dedicated to helping high schoolers connect to industry professionals who are part of gender marginalized communities. If you'd like to learn more or get involved, check out the description where links to our website and socials will be posted. In today's interview, we talked to Jordyn Styczynski, who is an environmental engineer, which is such a cool but such a broad field. And so getting an inside look at what potentially being a professional in an environmental engineering field could look like is such valuable insight. So let's get into it. Hi, welcome to our second interview at NetworkHer. I'm Rachel, and we're here with Palak and Jordyn, who will now give a brief description about what she does.
Hi, I'm Jordyn. I am an environmental engineer. I work with a design consultant, usually for municipal and all consulting services. So I specifically focus on solid waste management and design, so landfills throughout New Jersey. So I have a few like big projects that I'm always focused in.
All right. And so what is your favorite part of your job?
So every project that I'm on, even if it's for the same site, even if it's generally the same scope of work, every project is different. There's always a different aspect that you have to consider, and it makes it fun because you don't really know what you're going to get into.
My name is Palak, and I'm one of the other co-interviewers alongside Rachel. Unfortunately, I can't have my camera on at this time, but I'm really glad you're here. Moving on to the second question, what advice would you give to someone looking to break into the similar field?
So is my advice for more towards high schoolers or for college students?
Let's gear it towards more high schoolers, since that is more of our audience.
Okay, so there's a few things that I would definitely consider. So if you're looking to get into an engineering school for college, I'd say definitely apply for that engineering school specifically. It's a lot easier to enter college through that school of engineering or any STEM field than it is to get into college undecided and then try and switch into the school. There's all of these stipulations, you need a certain GPA and qualifications. So it's much easier to enter school into the engineering, and then say you want to change, you could then switch. But at least my engineering school, it was very competitive to get into. So it's definitely a big one. Second, that's really the main high school, advice.
And what drove you specifically towards environmental engineering?
So I knew my strong suits were math and science. I really had no idea what direction to go in. I knew I didn't want to do a lot of writing in school. So it was kind of just like process of elimination. And then I was lucky enough to meet through a friend. Their uncle was an environmental engineer. So I knew I wanted math and science and engineering. I actually went into school as an undecided engineering, but within the first week, they make you choose a discipline. So he happened to be environmental. So I was like, well, let me try environmental. What he does sounds cool. And I kind of stumbled into a field that I love and couldn't imagine myself in anything else. Even engineering disciplines, I couldn't imagine doing any other type of engineering.
I like the passion. You talked about how much you enjoy your job. Is there any downsides to it? Maybe some challenges you faced in this specific industry?
Definitely being underestimated and being taken seriously. That's a struggle. I'm sure that any young adult, any young woman getting into any type of field is it can have some challenges, but specifically because engineering is such a male dominated, and not only in the office of engineers, but I have a lot of interactions with contractors and laborers, and when you're on the job site and you're the one in charge as a young woman, you have to stand your ground and make sure to prove you know what you're talking about, and show that they have to listen to you. That's your job and that's their job.
So what are some current goals you have at your current job or just as an engineer as a whole?
So I would definitely fault my school at not making it more well known that as a consulting engineer, you have to go through a series of exams in order to get your professional engineering certification, which just essentially means you can sign off on plans, you have the qualifications to be able to design. So as I was progressing through college, I was taking all of my basic calculus and all of those, chemistry, physics classes, without the knowledge that by the end of college, I would have to take an exam that encompasses it all. So I took the EIT exam because that's step one. Now my goal is, after you've been working with about 3 to 5 years of design experience at your job, you have to, my goal is to get my professional engineering certification. So that's within, the next 2 years that I'm looking towards getting. So I'll have this year to apply and set up my application, and then I'm looking towards taking the exam next year. So it's like the second step. Basically, the first step, the first exam for your EIT is everything you've learned in college. And then this one is basically more focused on what you do day to day at work. What I say about college in general with engineering is all of the courses you go through, it feels, when am I ever gonna use this in real life, things like that. But college really teaches you why you do the things you do at work. And really, when you get to the job, that's when you learn how to do your job. But you get all the background and all the, theory behind it in college, which unfortunately you have to retain at least with the EIT.
It's really interesting. I mean, I think that you have some great goals in mind, and hopefully you're able to achieve them, like you said, in a very quick amount of time. I want to talk about a little bit. So you talked about a little bit about your job. So how exactly is your organization culture? Is it something that's positive, or is it something that is it a, I don't know, a binding society? You think of your coworkers as family or things like that. Can you just describe that for us here?
Yeah, so I know every company culture is different. My company is a pretty mid-size engineering firm, but we have several offices. So my specific office is pretty small. We have about 23 people, but it's a mix of, people who are in the field majority, so they're not in the office. I don't see them every day. So I have consistently about 15 people that I work with in the office. I will say we are all very comfortable with each other, and everyone has a different personality, but it seems to really work well in our office. I think I give a lot of credit to my head boss. He's very, we have to get our work done. We have to put in our hours. We want to produce good work, but he's very relaxed and never has raised his voice. It's nothing like that. The only thing I will say is in my office, everyone is kind of focused on their own work. It's not very collaborative. I'm not working with other engineers very often. It's really just me reporting to either a manager or my head boss.
So you mentioned that there are certain groups, like field groups, and more geared towards office. So is that a choice that you made, or just how does that work?
So my office is comprised of geologists who are mainly in the field because they're working with the subsurface and the soil. I have environmental scientists as well as engineers. So I would say I kind of fell into my solid waste. I am in the fields probably 30% of the time. When I had joined my organization, that's what they needed. They needed someone to fill in, take on the landfill work. Unbeknownst to me, I love it, which is great. I think, I could find anything to really love about environmental engineering, but I really enjoy the work that I do. But really, it would be as simple as going to my boss and saying, I want more field experience. I feel like he would then put me in the field. A lot of the field work is like beginner engineer. It's good to get that experience and know, how to collect a groundwater sample, how to, analyze soil and figure out the subsurface and stuff like that. But um, it's a lot of the dirty work. So I've seen it, I've done it. I don't really need to do it again. But people like out in the fields because, it's six good hours in the field, some travel time, and that's your day, and you're outside all day. It's really nice in the fall and spring, a little rough in the winter and summer.
That sounds like it's actually quite interesting, being out in the field. Are there any new upcoming projects or initiatives that you guys are doing that you're interested or willing, like if you're able to right now, talk about them?
Yeah, so I mean, the main project I'm focusing on right now is we're about to start construction on a new landfill cell in Gloucester County. So the way that landfills work is they are constructed like cell by cell. So the cells are like 13 acres wide, or 13 acres in area, and it's basically just a new spot to put your trash. And so the design process takes about 2 years of designing this, and then you have to bid it and award it to a contractor, worry about all the financing. I'm heavily involved in all aspects of it. And now we're starting construction. So I'll be in the field watching them, making sure they're constructing it correctly. And, it's a multi-million-dollar project. I've pretty much had my hands in every aspect of it so far. So it's really my first project that I am, it's mine.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
I really appreciate talking and giving us some more insight into the environmental engineering program. As someone who actually does want to pursue engineering in college, this was actually very, very helpful.
Good. I'm glad I mean, I have so much more advice, especially on the college level. So, I'm happy to help any way that I can.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, thank you for tuning in.